trapped in the 1950s lobotomy nightmare. A dim light flickered as I opened the dusty journal, its pages yellowed with age. My hands trembled, not from the cold, but from the haunting tales I knew lay within. I had always been fascinated by the medical practices of the past, but nothing prepared me for the sheer horror of the 1950s lobotomy crisis. It felt surreal, like a dark fairy tale, only it was all too real. My grandmother often spoke in hushed tones about her sister, Margaret. She was a spirited woman, but the doctors said she was troubled. They promised a cure, a miracle treatment that would set her free. Margaret went to the hospital with hope in her heart, but she returned a shadow of herself. The procedure, they called it a lobotomy, was supposed to calm her, but it stole her very essence. The idea of severing connections in the brain to treat mental illness seemed barbaric to me, yet it was once heralded as groundbreaking. Over 50,000 people in the United States alone suffered the same fate as Margaret. I found myself immersed in old newspaper clippings, articles that praised Dr. Walter Freeman, the father of the lobotomy. He was celebrated, revered, and feared. His ice pick method was chillingly efficient. Reading further, I discovered the true extent of the nightmare. People were subjected to this brutal procedure for even the mildest of ailments. Anxiety, depression, even rebellious teenagers were not spared the doctor's blade. The more I read, the more I felt a creeping dread. Each account was more harrowing than the last. Men and women, once vibrant, reduced to docile shells of their former selves. One story stood out, a young boy named Howard. His parents were desperate, trusting Freeman's promise of a cure. But Howard was never the same. He lost his ability to speak, to think, to dream. I couldn't shake the image of Howard, nor the countless others who suffered. It felt like an epidemic of madness, a mass delusion that gripped the medical community with an iron fist. As I closed the journal, the room seemed colder, the silence more oppressive. I couldn't help but wonder, what if society never questioned Freeman? What horrors might we be inflicting today without even realizing? The lobotomy crisis was a dark chapter, a grim reminder of how easily humanity can be led astray. It took decades for the medical community to denounce Freeman's work, but for many, the damage had been done. I often visit Margaret's resting place, a modest grave under a weeping willow. I whisper apologies to the wind, hoping she finds peace. Her story, and many others, serve as a somber warning of unchecked ambition and blind trust. In the end, we must remember to question, to challenge, and to never forget the lessons of the past. The shadows of the lobotomy crisis may fade, but the scars remain.